Okay, so imagine this. A weird sphere just sort of materializes in Colombia. Instantly, people are thinking maybe aliens, right? But then scientists get involved, they release the first x rays. What did they actually find inside? Let's really dig into this one. For this deep dive, we're looking at news reports, a YouTube transcript, basically detailing the discovery and the first scientific peek inside this thing. Our mission really is to get past the initial hype, focus on what the sources say was observed, and try to separate that from, well, all the speculation.
Exactly. It's so easy for the mind to jump to, well, extraordinary ideas when something unusual happens. But what's really compelling here, I think, is the actual data starting to come out from these initial scientific checks.
Yeah.
We need to stay focused on the reported findings.
Right. So let's set the scene. It's March this year over Buga, Colombia. People see this weird thing in the sky moving strangely, not like a plane or anything familiar. And then pretty soon after, this sphere is found on the ground, like it had just landed.
Yeah, and the first details we got give us a place to start. It weighs around 4.5 pounds, and what's immediately kind of strange is that first observation, someone touched it and said it felt the temperature of a refrigerator. That alone hints something's up, doesn't it?
It absolutely does. Cold like that. But okay, this is where it gets really interesting. The x-rays. The scientists release these images and they show this internal complexity. It's not just a solid lump of rock or metal. This sphere has layers.
Precisely. The X-rays apparently show three distinct layers, described as metal-like materials. But wait, there's more. Inside those layers, they found 18 small spheres, microspheres they're calling them, really uniform, arranged in a circle around something in the middle.
And in that fiddle thing, they're calling it a chip, which sounds very designed, right? But
True.
maybe one of the biggest surprises came from the radiologist, Dr. Jose Luis Velasquez. He pointed out there are 0 welds, no joints, nothing. Now, for something built in layers with stuff inside, that's a pretty big absence, isn't it?
It really is. Think about how we make things, complex metal objects. You expect welds, seams, maybe screw holes, something showing how it was put together. The fact that none of that is visible is a major reason why Dr. Velasquez and the team have, cautiously suggested it's artificial. It doesn't seem assembled in any way we recognize.
Okay, so artificial origin. Based on what's missing, the lack of human-like construction signs, plus that complex inside structure, but they're being careful, saying it's preliminary. Lots more analysis needed to figure out what it's actually made of, where it came from.
Exactly. It's a conclusion based on not seeing typical manufacturing marks and seeing this intricate internal setup. But then there were the symbols found on the sphere itself. This sort of opens up a whole different angle.
Oh, the symbols. Yeah, the reports say the researchers are comparing them to ancient writing systems, Mesopotamian, Ogham, runes. It's kind of mind-bending. Is there really a connection?
It's certainly suggestive, yeah. And they actually used AI, artificial intelligence, to try and make sense of these marks. Now, we need to be a bit cautious here. Are these real linguistic links or just patterns an AI might spot? Who knows for sure? But anyway, the AI did produce a translation.
And the message it spat out is, wow. The origin of birth through union and energy in the cycle of transformation, meeting point of oneness, expansion, and consciousness. Individual consciousness. I mean, whether that's a real translation or just pattern matching, that's some heavy stuff to find on a mysterious sphere.
It is. And the researchers involved, they've offered an interpretation. They think it might be a message for humanity, like urging a collective shift in consciousness, maybe because of, environmental problems. It's fascinating how they're linking this potentially non-human thing to very human worries. Makes you wonder about intent, if the translation is right.
It really does. Okay, so stepping away from the lab for a sec, there are also these eyewitness accounts. Unofficial details, not scientifically verified, but they definitely add to the mystery.
Yes, and it's super important to keep the scientific findings separate from these anecdotal reports. One of the guys involved in recovering this sphere is David Velez Il Potro. He actually went on Jaime Maussan's show. Maussan is, a known figure in ufology. And our sources mentioned, Maussan's had some past controversies, unverified claims like those alleged alien mummies in Peru. So we need that context.
Got it. Context is key. But Velez El Potro shared some really weird details. Like, he claims the first person who found it, someone named Jose, felt sick and nauseous for days after touching it. And then there's this story about water.
Right. Velez El Potro described pouring water on the sphere and said it just smoked, vaporized instantly. If that's accurate, it suggests a huge temperature difference between the inside and outside, or maybe some other energy thing happening. It's a pretty dramatic claim.
Wow, yeah. But again, crucial point, just eyewitness reports for now. No official science backing those specific claims up yet. And then there was Velez Potro's decision about who got the sphere.
Yeah, apparently government authorities wanted it, but Velez Potro said no. He was worried it would just disappear, quote, never be seen again.
Hmm.
So instead, he gave it to Massan's team, hoping they'd investigate its origins. That choice, well, it definitely makes the official scientific study trickier.
No doubt it adds a whole other layer. Okay, back to the science side. Beyond the layers and the microspheres inside, researchers noted the sphere has sort of irregular edges. They think this means it's a solid object, not hollow, and they took a first look at density.
That's right, the outer layer seemed densest, apparently similar density to human bone, which is interesting. And Nacho Rojo from the Hidden Truth YouTube channel, he's been tracking this, he noted that the center seems to have a lower radioacoustic density. Think of it like sound waves passing through. It suggests the inside might be more porous, maybe, or just less dense than that outer shell.
And the actual materials. They're throwing out ideas like steel or titanium for the outside, but everyone agrees. Full compositional analysis is absolutely needed. We're still guessing at this point.
Totally. And then we get back to those 18 dots, right in the middle. The X-rays show them clearly, arranged in this very deliberate, non-random way. The research group is speculating maybe they're like internal bolts or sensors or even bits of the bigger microspheres. What stands out to you there?
For me, it's just how intentional it looks. Like Roto said, it seems like an object intentionally built to house these small metallic components internally. That screams design, purpose. Whatever made it that way.
Exactly. The precision, the symmetry of those 18 points. It's really striking. That's why scientists are grouping them together and calling them a chip. Oh, that kind of regularity suggests, well, advanced tech or very careful engineering. Plus, those points show no cracks or fractures. The thing is structurally sound, whatever it's been through.
And one more really weird detail from the X-rays, a core ring, made of something different apparently, and it had even tinier spheres inside it, which made the researchers wonder if maybe those tiny spheres were put inside before the whole thing was sealed up somehow. And yet, despite all this detail from the X-rays, still no clue how it was assembled. No seams, no joints, no bolts visible on the outside holding it together. It's like a seamless puzzle box.
Which brings us right back to the core mystery, doesn't it? We've got this object, complex inside, unknown materials, weird symbols like ancient writing, found under strange circumstances. These first scientific looks have definitely raised more questions than they've answered.
Absolutely. So let's quickly recap what we think we know. This sphere shows up in Colombia after weird lights in the sky. X-rays show layers, 18 internal microspheres, a central chip. Key point. No welds or familiar construction signs, leading scientists to tentatively say artificial origin, but origin unknown. Plus, symbols that an AI translated into a message about consciousness and transformation.
And then you have the unverified but intriguing stories. The cold feel, the nausea, the water vaporizing. Plus, the finder giving it to a private group, not the government. The science so far hints at density, like bone on the outside, maybe less dense inside, possible materials like steel or titanium, and those 18 internal points arranged precisely like a chip, suggesting intentional design. But how it was built, still a total mystery.
So yeah, even with this initial data, the big questions remain. What is this thing? Where did it come from? What's its purpose? It really gets you thinking.
It certainly does. And maybe the biggest thought to leave you with is this. If we assume just for a moment that this is artificial and not human, what could that translated message actually mean for us? And maybe more practically, how should we approach this kind of discovery, this idea of a shift in consciousness? What are the next steps scientifically to even begin understanding this truly puzzling object?